Okay, we're going to open the Street Improvement Oversight Committee meeting January 14th at 2026. We got a little bit of a late start, but here we go. And Chuck, I'm going to ask you to call the roll.
Wes Epperson,
Here.
John Powell,
Here.
Pam Wishon, Libet Ojeda,
Here.
Marcy Gregg,
Here.
and Marcus Bowen.
Here.
Staff present, I am Charles R. Harvey, Administrative Services Supervisor, Municipal Services. Alex Lopez,
Alex Lopez, I'm the city engineer.
Robert Davis,
I am here. I am the construction inspection supervisor.
Zan McKinney,
Zane McKinney, Assistant Director, Municipal Services.
Matt McLaughlin,
Matt McLaughlin, Deputy Director, Municipal Services.
Janae Moulon,
Janae Milan, Staff Assistant, Municipal Services.
and Mike Jackson.
Hi, Mike Jackson, Director of Municipal Services.
Okay, I'm going to take a minute. We have a new member on the street committee, Marcus Bowen. And Marcus, you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Marcus Bowen, and I've born and raised here in Independence. I've lived here my entire life except for a brief stint, or I guess extended stint, at Mizzou undergrad and law school there. Go Tigers. Didn't really work out as well this year as I think any of us would have liked, but that's part of being a Mizzou fan. So I will say that I've served in a variety of volunteer positions here around town. I've kind of had a background in nonprofit, community development, scouting. I guess I'll just say this about this board and why I think that, even as a new person, why something like this is important. You know, if you watch the news, you would think that this country is so divided and everyone hates each other and people are really obsessed with how their neighbors vote in elections. And it just couldn't be more untrue. I think what people really care about is, for instance, I don't know how my neighbors voted, and I don't care. They are very nice people. They're all good neighbors. And I think Independence is a city of good neighbors. And if maybe we would pay a little bit more close attention to things like this, fixing potholes and making sure the streets are paved, because if you really talk to your neighbors, they're not going to talk about Congress or whatever else. They're going to talk about, you know, that pothole on 23rd Street, I really hit that hard today. And I think that that's kind of the unity of, you know, America in general and our town as a whole. So I think that my goal here is to kind of delve into that. I think the best part of something like this is that we're probably all for the same things, you know, fiscal responsibility, accountability of local government, and transparency. And I think that when our neighbors voted in the most recent Go Bond election, the one that passed was the one for the streets. People drive on the streets every day. And we're here to make sure that that money is spent fairly, equally around town, and that the streets that we all get flat tires from potholes in are fixed and maintained. And so, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chuck, you have an introduction?
I do. I would like to introduce the committee to your new staff liaison, Janae Moulon, who will be taking my place as your official staff liaison between you all and the city. Both her and I, and she is also now the staff liaison for the Stormwater Oversight Committee, which we will both be in attendance in order to keep our sister committees similar, as similar as possible. So, so Janae.
Okay.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you, Janae.
Let me give you guys my business card.
And I promise I won't ignore you if you reach out to me too. So.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Chuck? Before we go?
No, Mr. Chair, I think we're ready for business.
Okay. Let's consider the minutes from our last meeting that we had on October the 1st. I think they're pretty normal, nothing out of the ordinary. So whenever you're ready, I would appreciate somebody making a motion for approval on the minutes of October 1st, 2025 meeting.
I will so motion to approve the minutes. Mr.
Got a
Chair.
motion, need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? Okay, that's approved. And we'll move on to the financial dashboard segment of our meeting concerning the street sales tax. Who's going to do that, Chuck?
I'll be happy to. And then anyone can chime in if I say something incorrect. So what you have here before you are the summary of the street sales tax fund. We tried to get you all the way through December, but just not enough had been posted from finance yet. So we've got you all the way through the end of November of 25 there, from the beginning of the fiscal year. As you can see, we are doing pretty good on our sales tax revenue, 41% of the budget at almost half the year there. I'm sorry, I can't see. I might have to get this. Sorry. Yep, getting to that time. Doing very good on our interest income at 86% of budgeted at a little less than half the year there. So that is going to really put us over the budget for the fiscal year.
What's going on with the use tax? Hasn't, we haven't had any reported yet?
No, the way the use tax works is it's a waterfall tax. So there has to meet a certain threshold of that tax. Up to a certain point, at 100% goes to emergency services. And then after that point, we start getting revenue from it. Since we're only halfway through the year, it wouldn't be expected that we would have any revenues in that account just yet.
Okay, good enough.
Can I ask a question about that, Mr. Chair?
Yes. Go ahead.
About the use tax, just for those of us that are new, I guess that would be me. What's the threshold of when the
Water.
pour over
Yeah.
effect occurs? And I guess just could you explain more specifically the use tax? Who do we collect that from, and like what's the source of the revenue there? And then when does the pour over occur? What's the amount or the threshold? I guess
I don't know offhand. We'd have to get you that information for what the waterfall is, like where it hits, and then at what percentages. Like I said, it goes 100% to emergency services until that threshold. Not sure what that is. But we can get that and get that over to you. And then once that point happens, then it'll split out between several different accounts. But we can get that kind of breakdown for you. As for what it is the online sales tax revenue. So the city voted that in to collect the sales tax on online purchases within the city. And I may have, is there any part with the use tax on this for our city for vehicle purchases? I know some cities have it, but I don't think this one does. Yeah. So it's just the online sales tax revenue. So it's collected from that.
okay. I'd appreciate that information. Maybe, Mr. Chair, next meeting we could have maybe a more in-depth presentation of what the pour over amount is or something like that.
Yeah.
That is an excellent segue, actually. We have made contact with the finance director, who has offered to come to our next meeting. So as a committee, over the course of the next 3 months, if you have any questions regarding the finances or how they work, specific questions over the budget, please feel free to shoot those to Janae or myself, and so that she has those questions to prepare for you. And yeah, we fully anticipate her being here at our next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, we'd just like to give her a heads up instead of just
right.
bringing her in and saying fire away. So not that you can't ask other questions when she's here if something pops up, but just kind of give her a basis to go off of. So we've already given her heads up, and she's more than willing to attend the meeting. So
I also just wanted to clarify on the use tax, that amount is how it was voted in for the breakdown and the waterfall piece. So there's not anything that really we can do to change that and change those numbers. It'll just be an informational piece.
Sure, and that's all I was looking for was the informational. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Chuck, go ahead.
Sure. And as for the allocation of funds regarding the operating budget between the personnel and operating, we're right on course there. Debt service, we will continue to see that essentially complete as we are now done with the debt service, the last loan that we took, essentially for the debt projects that that you saw in the past. The 5-year one? The last one?
No, just for clarification and correction on that, the debt service that is on there listed at 1.7 plus million, that is actually in effect and will be paid off, continue to be paid on until 2035. So.
Oh, okay. The last one. Okay, my apologies. Down to the capital budget of the 41 million, we have 6.7 currently encumbered, have expended 6.4, and currently have a balance of 28 million. 19.5 in new CIPs this year, and rollovers from previous fiscal years, 21.7. Total allocation of funds, 44.5 million, 7 million encumbered, 6.8 in expenditures for the year, and an overall balance of 30 million.
Okay,
Real quick, Wes,
Question.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
just want
go
to,
ahead,
with
Zach.
a new member, I just want to clarify something on this. It does show on paper that we have $30 million effectively in a fund balance in it, that we have available. The reality of that is not that we have $30 million. The reality is that we have a number of allocations, a number of projects that are in construction or in the line in lieu of construction. So we'll be building those projects. We've already earmarked those funds for those projects to be done, but we don't have them encumbered yet because the project is not started. It's still maybe in construction or in preliminary design. So those funds it's not $30 million that we actually have available.
So it's $30 million allocated. Would that be a better way to say it?
no,
Yeah.
not all of it is allocated, but the majority of it is allocated
So
for future.
30 million will be allocated.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, yes. So there's obviously the difference between the encumbered
Sure,
and the allocated.
sure.
So
so it's on the books.
yes, it's in future projects, but there hasn't been anything.
But it's
A
not
PO
real money
hasn't-
right now.
A PO hasn't been opened for
Okay.
them yet. Yes.
Yes.
I appreciate pulling me in the loop. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, any other questions about the financial report? If not, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the street sales tax fund summary. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. So now we have a staff presentation coming up, and who's going
Oh.
to do that?
Can,
Mr. Chair, would we be okay if we go ahead and go into the summary of the GO bonds
Sure.
as the secondary financial dashboard, essentially?
Okay. Yes. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah. Okay. You can do that. So this is a new document for this committee, as we have actually started expending the GO bond funds. And this is going to be a lot more simple, as you can see, than our street sales tax breaks down. The way that we decided to arrange the GO bond funds was to put them into 3 separate buckets so that we could easily track bonds being spent towards bridges, bonds being spent towards sidewalks to schools essentially, and bonds being spent towards the preventative pavement maintenance program or overlay funded by GO bonds. The first column there, you can see the budget breakdown, 7.8 for bridges, 2.9 for sidewalks, and 18.3 for preventative maintenance. Bridges, we have actively started working with encumbrances. We have construction contracts in place for some of them, and quite a few, and several design contracts going for bridges for all around the city right now. The expenditures column, at this moment, we've only had a couple of expenditures that go towards design firms in the bridges. The rest of those expenditures you see in those columns, those are the costs of just setting up the bonds themselves. Those are the bank fees associated with just setting up the bonds. So that's actually all that's been expended so far in the GO bonds. That number is going to go up very, very quickly as we have these by the next time we meet. And there at the very end, you have your overall balance of 2.25 left for bridges, 2.9 for sidewalks, and 18 million for preventative pavement maintenance. And this is just the initial bond. They've been broken into 2 to get us to the overall total that was approved by voters in April.
And I do want to add on the preventive pavement maintenance, the overlay for the GO bonds here. Our encumbrances, this one is not up to date. We had a $6.2 million encumbrance, which will be for the FY26 GeoBond overlay project that we'll have starting up in the spring of this year. So this one is not quite current yet. That was a very recent council approval item. So we have expended a third of that, or encumbered, I should say, not expended yet, encumbered a third of that for this upcoming FY26 project, since our plan is to do it over 5 years. So year number 1 being the first $6 million there.
Okay. I think I remember the plan was, what, like 6 million for 5 years on that
that's correct.
part of it?
And Alex, can you tell us how many miles of overlay that's going to get us here starting in the spring? That 6 million that we're spending this year.
Yeah, let me get the exact number. I believe it's about 60, but I'll check on that.
Right around that 60-mile mark, though, isn't it? So 60 miles of new overlay starting this spring, and hopefully be done with this phase in the fall. So pretty quick turnaround time to get 60 lane miles worth of asphalt.
As I look this over and I really do think we're going to need more. We're going to need more information on this report. I mean, we've got some numbers here, but as these plans are developed, we'd like to see, like what Alex is talking about. And I know the plan. It said that we're hereby authorized and directed to monitor all aspects of planning, design, bidding, construction, and expenditure. So we need more than just numbers. We need some projects. And how much those projects are gonna, how much we're gonna expend on those projects. And I've got some other questions too about, like, let's look at the preventative maintenance line. You've got budget 18,000,003, and you show a balance of 18 million, just a little over of 18 million. That adds up to $36 million. And I think that what the voters were told that it would be 10 million for sidewalks, 15 for bridge repair, and 30 for the preventive maintenance.
And that's what Chuck was alluding to a second ago is this is only the first half of the 5-year money that's allocated. So what finance does for us is they set this up. It's essentially half of that 55 million total, or 55 million total. So when we get 2.5 years from now, then they're going to be getting that second round. So you're right. It was going to be, I believe, 35 million for the preventative maintenance.
The original
30.
was 60 million, and then it was dropped down to 30 because of increases to the Justice Center.
Oh, that's right.
But,
But to answer your question, yes, this is not the total amount. So this is just this first phase. So there will be more. Maybe we can put that in there in another column or another line item that clearly says, here's the other money that they haven't gone out and got the bonds for yet. So there will be more.
Okay, for instance, let's just take the sidewalks, the school sidewalks. And I believe that was, 7 schools? And there was going to be $10 million spent on sidewalks. So when we get a bid or whatever, say on one of the elementary schools, we will have like Castle Park School, and then you will list that out, right? It won't just be one big number. That's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure we get more detail,
Yeah,
not just numbers.
We can absolutely do that. There's really not a lot of detail to share yet. So
Right,
like the
I
project-
understand, but I want to get all
Sure.
on the right foot.
No, we will. So for like the overlay, each year it's just one big project.
Right.
So and for the bridges, that accounts for 2 bridges. So
Yeah.
we can line item that out for you
Right.
next time.
Yes.
Tell you these are what the bridges are.
Please
Here's
do.
how much each one costs.
Yes.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that.
And on the overlay, it may be, you say 60 miles, but you'll give us where those miles are going to be overlaid, right?
Yeah, we already have.
You have a list? Or,
Yeah, we have complete maps. Yeah,
Okay.
so we can include that as part of this.
Yes.
And then to your point, kind of list out the projects. I'm looking at them right now for the bridges. Like Mike said, there are 2 that are going to be under construction, but I also have 5 that are under design right now. So we
Okay.
have 7 actively working at this time. And then the sidewalks to schools, that actually went out today, the RFP for that one. That's going to be Castle Park and Mill Creek Elementary, both completed this year. So the wheels are in motion for all these, but to your point, yeah, we can absolutely add some more detail in here to kind of show, hey, what is exactly going on here. We can show the locations, what we're doing for overlay, what bridges we're working on, where they're at versus, design versus construction, and then same for the sidewalks, which
Okay.
schools we're doing first, second, third, like that. We did meet with the Independent School District and the Fort Osage School District, and they prioritized the list of schools based on their priority. We took that and ran with it because I defer to them on what their higher priority ones versus the lower priority ones were. So that's the way we set that one up too, just for your awareness.
Okay.
I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Chuck, but I think what Chuck meant by this is a much simpler budget. It really is to report out on because there's no recurring income that's going into it. There's no fund balance. It's this amount.
Right.
We're just deducting off of it, so it should be a lot easier. There's no operating expenses on it associated with it. It's just it is what it is. So. But we can definitely add those line items in there. No
Okay.
problem. We were actually expecting to once we had more.
We just want to do our due diligence
Yeah.
on this.
Understood. And to add another point here too, you may be wondering, well, why do we only have these amounts at this time? Guys, anybody jump in and correct me because I'm not an expert with this, but what we were told from our finance group was we only have a certain amount of time to spend the money once we're given the money. So
It's
I told
3
them
years.
we cannot realistically spend $55 million in
Yeah.
3 years. Thank you, Zan. So I said, okay, give me half or more or less half of it. this we can get out the door because it has to be spent, not encumbered, but spent by that time period. Then the final wave, it'll only be 2 waves. This is the first wave. The second wave will come after this is all done. So that's why this is shown there too, in case you were wondering that.
Okay,
That's why it's 18 million on the preventative maintenance, because it's the 3-year cycle. And then, as you said earlier, the plan is 6 million a year over 5 years. So then the next rotation will give us about $12 million to finish off the last 2 years at 6 million apiece.
but
That's on
we,
the preventative maintenance side.
but speaking generally, I guess, we will follow that, formula that they laid out. So we're not gonna take any money out of the school sidewalk group and put it in the you see what I'm saying?
So-
We're gonna have $30 million basically, or for preventative maintenance.
Correct.
We're gonna have 10 million for school sidewalks.
Those are the,
And we're gonna have 15
Rough.
for the bridges.
yes, that was the plan. So
Okay.
if what we anticipate though, at some point in maybe 2 to 3 years, that if we complete, let's say we were going to complete all the sidewalks and we end up spending $8 million on it, we'll come back to you and say, we recommend you taking that other 2 and putting it towards bridges. But we wouldn't just do that on our own. We would come back and request,
Right.
recommendation for that. Because we kind of feel like as long as we get all of the schools done that we committed to, maybe we would want to do more schools after that, or maybe there's not as much of a need for that at that point, and we can use that money for something else. But again, we would come back to you all and
So
ask for that.
you're saying that you could possibly get the sidewalks done before the 5 years are up? You might have money left over?
In theory,
Maybe.
theory, we've been spitballing lots of different ideas.
Right.
If we're able to get through that, because we can already tell the money for the bridges is not going to be near enough. The estimates from a couple of years ago are in some cases almost double. And when you're going over the railroad, that
Right.
adds another level of complexity. As you can see here, for two of the bridges, it's already going to be at $5.5 million, and we were only going to be putting 15 total into it. So we were just trying to find ways to do that. But of course, we would come back here, talk to y'all, get a recommendation before we do that, because council would want that as well. What did you all have to say about it before we took it to them? So
Okay.
Could I follow up on your line of questioning,
go ahead.
Chairman?
Yeah, proceed.
It was mentioned by staff that there are 7 bridges. Could you let us know what are the 2 that I guess 2 are under construction currently? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. So the 2 that are, going to begin construction in the spring of this year are the Chrysler Avenue over UP Railroad Bridge.
Okay, hold
And-
on one second.
Sorry.
Okay, what was number 2?
Number 2 is the Kentucky Road over Mill Creek Bridge. Both of these structures are currently closed to traffic completely.
Right. And then there are 5 additional that you said are already encumbered or
Under design.
under design.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the timeline for like the design, construction? How long does that take?
So that is going to vary. I can tell you the 5 structures we have under
Okay.
design right now, and it will.
Do you think that
Very.
any of them will begin and end the construction process in the year 2026?
No.
No. Okay.
No. I think the design will be complete for several of these in 2026. They will not begin construction. It's already too late.
Will the construction begin and end in 2027?
That's my goal.
Okay.
For the bulk of these, not all of these though. One of them being another structure that's been closed for many years now, the Kentucky Avenue over Rock Creek Bridge. That one's going to be a little more complex. That's a complete tear down and new structure there. We're working with Kansas City because currently that bridge is owned half by us, half by Kansas City, and is technically in Kansas City's bridge
Right.
inventory. So we're going through all that whole process as well. So that one, I do not, I realistically anticipate that one being done in 28. But some of these other ones that we have here, like the Arlington Avenue Bridge over Rock Creek, that's in really bad shape, but carries a good amount of traffic. So we prioritize that one. I expect that one to be done in 27. Lake City Valley Road, same thing. That's a small structure, 27. Artie Mize needs some work. So yeah, most of them should be done by then, but not all of them now. And we're also at the mercy of the bidders. It's very hard for us to get bids
Right.
on bridge work here. Kansas City has a giant bridge program right now, and they've put a lot of bridges out. Obviously, the I-70 work with MoDOT. So
Sure.
we've had a hard time competing for bridge projects. In fact, the Chrysler Avenue Bridge, we bid it out first in 2022. We didn't get any bids on it. Then we didn't have any funding for it. So we bid it out last year, coupled with the Kentucky over Mill Creek, and we only got one bidder on that one. And it was very high bid. So we're at the mercy of the bidders, but this is my plan, is what I just laid out there, hopefully.
I appreciate the answer. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And
Alex, oh, go ahead, Chuck.
I will send out the committee again the copy of the spring presentation where we do have broken down all of the anticipated projects that we plan to do with the Go Bonds. So that might help you for some reference there also. And also to your point, Wes, with the finances, we do, so the way that we're tracking out the individual projects within these three separate funds is we're doing simply dashing them out. So one bridge is 542601-1, one bridge is 542601-2. And we can give you those financial breakdowns as well as they'll be reported separately as projects as that other list that you have in your packet there. We will have a report similar to that for you next time as well. And actually we can get that out to you as early as next week.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
I got
Appreciate it.
one other thing I just want to add, so we're all on the same page on this. The balance that is shown on there. So the bridges, we have $2.25 left, $2,250,000 left. That is all the funding that we will have to make any bridge repairs, any design work, anything until the second round of funding. We cannot take additional, we couldn't run through all of our money next year and then do another round of funding without paying those expenditures that are shown there now, that $560,000, give or take, that was currently done, those bank fees. Every time we take money out, we have to pay that. That's why we decided to take the money into two lump sums to give us the fewest number of basically biddings on those bonds while being able to use the money within the time frames allotted. So if we run out of money, if we don't have money identified in some other location to continue on with bridge work or something else, we will not have any funding until that next round of funding that we do in 2028.
Okay. Anything else? Any more discussion? John? All right. I would appreciate a motion to pass this summary on the bond, on the GO bond money.
So moved.
How about a second?
Second.
Got a motion, second. All approved, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign. It carries. Okay, thank you, and appreciate the discussion on that as we start, on this oversight of this bond money. So thanks, Alex and Zan and Mike, all you guys. We'll look forward to a expanded report next time.
Absolutely. And again, if you have any questions that pop into your head, just feel free to shoot us an email and we can include that in our financial discussion in the next meeting.
Yeah. Remind all of us that someone from finance will be here at our next meeting. If you have any questions, you need to forward those to Janae, and then she'll get them on to the finance. And we may have a few more come up, but we'll try to get that done ahead of time so they'll have a chance to have that information available. Okay, let's move on then to the presentation. Chuck, who you got?
I'll cue him up real quick. We have Zan McKinney, the assistant director, coming up to give this presentation. So at the last meeting, we had discussed and we had some questions about how we prioritize roads. In the PCI, or the Pavement Condition Index, had come up, which basically essentially gives scores to the pavement around town. And we had talked about it, like, well, how does that work, and how bad are some of these roads, and how good are some? And we decided to kind of do a refresher here for you all, and then also for new members. I think Pam had also requested, so we might have to do this again sometime in 2026, just a little quick overview. But anyway, that's where we're coming from on this. So Zan will give you a little overview.
All right, so this is gonna be as I'll wait for. Should we wait for Marcus to join us back in, because he's probably the one that knows the. No. Yeah.
Go ahead and start.
Okay.
No, this will be recorded, so.
Okay. So, for everybody that is not aware, or maybe is aware, PCI just stands for Pavement Condition Indexing. It's one of a couple different ways that you can basically grade the condition of your asphalt pavement on a scale of 1 to 100. It's one of the most commonly used one. So why do we use it? It allows us to effectively and responsibly use our fiscal dollars to address the issues that we have around the city. So as I said, the pavement condition is a ASTM nationally standardized scoring metric that allows us to base our PCIs across. It's not just something that we made up. It is a national standard that allows us to compare our streets and our scores to like communities around the country. We generally try and compare our stuff to people that are in our same climate range. Because if you get into the south that don't have freeze-thaw cycles, they are going to have a much higher average PCI score. And if you get into the north where there's a much heavier freeze-thaw cycles, you're going to have a much lower average PCI score for roads. Generally, it is done on a 5-year, on a national standard, it is done on a 5-year interval. That allows you to do a PCI score, make some improvements, and then see what you're doing, whether that's improving or not improving the roads. What it looks like is effectively this. If you look at this curve up here, the about 75 and above would be considered in good, high quality pavement conditions. Then you have that 60 to 75 is in moderate condition. 40 to 60, you're in those where you're starting to have some severe distress and need major repairs, and then it keeps going down. What you're seeing on the other axis as we go out is that over the first 10 years of the life cycle, you lose 40% of your PCI score if you don't do anything to the pavement. Over the next 5 years, you will lose an additional 40% of your PCI score. So once the pavement starts going, it starts going quick. And one of the issues that we had in the past was our kind of city directive and the way that we were doing things was an overlay only project and program. We didn't really do a lot of contracted out preventative maintenance work and everything. And if you look at that little line that as it kind of goes up and bumps and stuff, that's showing that if you do a little bit of preventative maintenance early on, much lower cost, it keeps that PCI higher for longer, and you extend out that curve and that life cycle of the pavement. So different maintenance options that you have would be these different types of seals. Starting off with crack seal and fill, that's just the black stripes that you see all over the road. There's different levels of it depending on how wide the cracks are. You have micro surfacing, which is basically just a thin overcoat with some aggregate that kind of resurfaces the road. Chip seal, scrub seal is putting down an emulsifier, which is just kind of like sticky tar, black substance, right? You put rock on top of that. We do have some roads in the city of Independence that we've done that on. It's held up really, really well. I'll show you a picture of some of that later. Then there's cape seal, which is effectively doing those two operations and combined. So you do a chip seal first, and then you do the microsurface on top. That gives you a little bit thicker pavement surface, but instead of having the kind of exposed rock on top, you've got looks a little bit more like traditional asphalt pavement. mill and overlay, which we're all familiar with, and then full reconstruction, which is the thing that we clearly want to stay away from because that is by far the most expensive deal. Our current rates are for mill and overlay per lane mile is about $130,000. For full reconstruction would be closer to $1 million. So for PCI as a whole, back in 2016, we did our first actual contracted out PCI rating of the entire city. And Mr. Powell was here at that time and everything. So what was done was we had a company come in with a large truck and mounted with cameras and laser equipment and all this stuff. And they drove every road in the city and they gave us a PCI score. And we used that then to build off how we were doing our preventative maintenance and our overlay contracts moving forward. Prior to that, what we had was a retired street maintenance supervisor that went around, looked at all the roads, and they decided, well, we're going to do this road or we're going to do this road. So not near as scientific as we're able to do it now. We did a secondary run of the PCI back in 2022. For just cost example, the PCI score that we did in 2022 was $250,000. So it is an expensive process to do that. That's the problem with it is when you wait because of the high cost, you can only do it in those 5-year intervals. That's why that's kind of the national standard to do it. And sometimes the usability of the database that you're given is very limited because you're limited to what information the company that you contracted out provides back to you. What we've gone to now is we have a contract with a company called Visala, and they have a program called Road AI. We've been using that for about 2 years now. That program costs us about $27,000 instead of $250,000 every 5 years. So we can run that contract for half the price and get data every year and get updated data every year. Since we started that project, we have already done 2 full cycles of getting the data off of the roads. We can look at exactly what our road conditions are at any point in time. We've also done multiple project reviews where after a contractor has come in and done a bunch of utility cuts and we've had them resurface the road, or after one of Alex's CIP projects has gone through and we've done an overlay or a seal coat, we can actually get the PCI before and after those projects so we know what the improvement was and we can update our PCI scores as those projects happen. We were able to, because of the Road AI, we were able to actually take that information and build out that GeoBond contract that Alex said is between 50 and 60 miles of overlay. That's about 3 times what we normally get out of a street sales tax overlay. Those contracts have been taking us 8 months plus to be able to build those contracts out for a third of the miles. We were able to, with the Road AI system and with the data we got from that, we were able to build out that full GeoBond contract for 50 to 60 miles in under 4 months. So obviously, like I said, the benefits are we get immediate feedback. If I need to go out and take a look at the PCI of a road, I can go out there and do that immediately. The secondary piece is that cost savings. Not only is it the cost savings for the cost of the project, instead of $250 every 5 years for an average of $50,000 a year, we're spending about $27,000. On top of that, just as an example, we recently had a contractor that came in and was building a new health service facility down off of Valley View Parkway, just south of I-70 and Little Blue Parkway. That contractor basically tore up the roads by having all the equipment coming through there and everything. We were in discussion with them about what their responsibility would be to repair and replace the damaged areas of the road that they had done. They came back and said that was going to be about $140,000 for them to do it, and they were not willing to make those repairs, or they wanted the city to share cost on that. We had a meeting with them. I was able to show them the Road AI data from about 3 weeks prior to them starting construction. And within about 20 minutes in that meeting, they had gone from, no, we're not doing this to, okay, you got this. So that kind of thing alone allows us a lot more flexibility and a lot more ability to go back after contractors to do that. So Bare minimum, we're looking at a cost savings of $30,000 a year to continue this PCI on top of the added benefits that we get. So it's a pretty good system. We also have full access to the data. We can get that at any point in time. So that's a much better situation than what we have with the contractor coming out. There are a little bit of downsides with it. The data is picked up by a camera that we mount in the truck. So you're not going to get the detail, quite as much of the detail as you would from a private contractor. But the amount of detail that we are able to get, we found is really accurate comparatively to what we were getting before. So this imagery here is basically our dashboard version when we log on to that program. This gives us just a very quick, like green to red scale of what the road conditions are on the PCIs for the City of Independence. And we can zoom in. I'll show you a picture in a minute so you can get a little more data. But just as a whole, this is what the PCI and this is what our city kind of looks like right now as a pavement condition. As you're driving through, this is what we're seeing, or this is what we're getting off of it. So we're picking up the data. It'll actually go through, and at the top, if you can see, it actually gives us, road condition. It gives us how much cracking there is, if there's any treatments on it. In this case, you can see those dark black stripes across the road. Those are crack seal and crack fill operations that were done. And then you can see on there that it actually picks that stuff up and it shows that we've done that and shows that we've got some improvement. So that's just a kind of an imagery of what our PCI data and what that program looks like. This is, again, a location, actually one of those locations that we did a chip seal, scrub seal on back in 2021. And as you can see that those roads prior to that, based on the previous scan that we'd gotten, those roads were, I think, like a 45 to 50 average PCI. That crack seal, the chip seal operation has taken those up, and now we're sitting out on average PCI score in those areas of about 78. So,
Hey, Zan?
Yes.
So that previous map you showed us,
Yep.
so red, kind of yellow or orange and green?
Yep.
So green is good, red, tell us what the colors mean.
Okay. Green is your 75 and above. And then it is hard to see on this imagery, but there's yellow, light orange, dark orange, and then down to red. And that kind of goes through those ratings that I was saying earlier, that 75 and above, that 60 to 75, 40 to 60, and then as it goes down below.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So the other thing that the PCI allows us to do is we can look at a road and you can see some of those within that green area, there are some red areas. And we know, hey, this, instead of just doing a block to block, this PCI is bad because we have one stretch that's 10 feet long that's in bad condition. We can go in and look at something like this and go, hey, if we make an in-house repair in this one spot, we can raise the entire road's PCI back up to XYZ. Versus looking at that and going, well, we're going to have the contractor come in here and do an entire overlay when it's not necessary. So it gives us a lot more flexibility to be more granular on that piece. And then the last piece that program obviously allows us to do is we can actually get a signed data layer, which isn't really tied to the PCI, but it's just kind of a good function that we didn't have before that we've never been able to do. So that's the PCI program and the basics on the PCI stuff. Do you guys have any questions?
I've got one, or I've got an observation. I would say, just from the area I live in, I live in Southwest Independence, so you have old infrastructure, you've got old streets, and I think one of the big problems we have is water mains. It's hard to have a good road when you have water mains breaking all the time, and I know just on the little street that I'm on, which is a block long, there's been at least three cuts in the road just in the past year for water main breaks. So, you guys are municipal services, so you know about the water problems. So there's really, to redo water mains, and would cost the city, that'd be a whole nother bond proposal, right? I'm thinking about 35th Street, east of Sterling, between Sterling and Chrysler. There where Station 5 is at, and that's a heavily during rush hour, there's a lot of traffic on that road. And I know that the city's come in and actually down around Norton Street, down by where you go into Manor Oaks, they did quite a bit of work where they actually went down and took pavement completely out and replaced it, and now it's kind of back in the same condition. Is that like water damage? Is that what's causing that pavement problem?
I'm not completely familiar with that spot. I
Yeah.
would, usually a leak, it doesn't fix itself, so you're going to have water present. I mean, if we have a seepage or anything, then we're going to get out on it as quick as we can. Yeah, we're aware we have some mains that give us trouble, and we're working on trying to get it fixed. One thing that we're trying to do is when we go through, we do some of these street improvements and things, we're going to combine that and look at that main in that area so that we combine those projects. It helps us save money when we're doing it because actually, you know, the water main replacement is out of the water fund, but then we can combine that with that street improvement so that we're not going back in there after we just made the street improvement to fix the main when it breaks. So we get that done, and also we're not impacting that neighborhood multiple times. We get in there, it's a mess. It's an obstruction. It's you know, an inconvenience for the neighborhood. We want to get in there one time, get everything fixed that we can, and then get out of there. Hopefully, we don't have to bother anybody for a long time. But yes, it is very costly to replace those mains. It's a matter of funding. We're constantly looking at ways to save money and do as much main replacement and improvements as we can. We look at the mains on a kind of a threefold system where we're looking at the break frequency is probably the greatest impact that we rate on a priority scale. And then where those mains are at, if it's in a busy thoroughfare where it's going to cause a lot of traffic interruptions. And then we're also looking at if that main breaks, what does it impact? Is it impacting a school? Is it impacting a hospital? Is it impacting, you know, but the cost of repair is also in there too. So we're looking at them. We do have a prioritized list, and we're trying to work down through that list as fast as we can, but it is costly. So.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Wes, one other thing I'd like to add to that is that in the last 5 years or so since the merger actually happened, one of the pushes that was done through our right-of-way group that actually kind of oversees some of the permitting and the replacement repairs that are done by not only our internal utilities, but also external utilities like Spire, that when those repairs previously, when the repairs were done, the only additional requirements that we had for pavement repairs were tied to if they were touching a street that had been overlaid within 3 years, then they were required to do and kind of go above and beyond. With the new requirements that were put in place after the municipal services merger, now it's any cut, any requirement, they have much greater standards that they have to replace back to. Instead of replacing just the area that was cut out, they're required to go to center line of road, and if they're touching too close to another cut, they have to actually do both cuts, even if it wasn't their original cut. There's a much greater impact to that. And the reason why is because we're trying to make sure that basically these funds are not subsidizing the work of private utilities or even our public utilities, because that stuff is very damaging to the roads, and any of those cuts is a water infiltration point. So there's been a lot of that over the last several years that we've increased that load and increased that responsibility back onto the utilities themselves. We've seen a lot of improvement because of that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a brief
Sure, go
question?
ahead. Proceed.
I had a taxpayer call me a couple weeks ago about a road near their house that has been destroyed by a construction project. They asked the people on the construction site, although they may not be totally knowledgeable, about what maybe what the ultimate plan is, but the people on the site reflected to this taxpayer that they weren't going to be repairing that road. So I was wondering if after the meeting, if I could give you that road and that intersection, and you can look at the data and see, what's been destroyed, and if we can make that the construction company, I believe, is well, I won't say it in the meeting, but we'll discuss it after the meeting. I'd like you to look at that road and see if we can make sure that they follow their original construction plan to refurbish that road after they've torn it up with their construction equipment.
Yeah, I'm happy to have that conversation. And just for future, if anybody on the committee ends up getting questions like that, they can always refer them to our right-of-way group. They can go out there and look at those and deal with the contractors and stuff. That's what they're doing. So
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Chuck, is that all of the city's presentation?
That's the end of the PCI. I believe Alex is going to speak on just really quickly what's gone on street projects between our last meeting and now.
Okay. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I'll make this brief since I know we're a little late on time here. So just to touch on the project updates for the CIP since we last met in October. The 24 Highway Complete Streets project is moving right along. Phase 2 is complete, has been complete for some time now. Phase 1 is progressing well. They are moving along towards, moving north towards Salisbury, making their way towards 291. That project will be completed this year. And then phase 3 of the 24 Highway Complete Streets, which is Wilson to Sterling, the last phase of that project is going to start up here, weather permitting next month, but for sure probably by like March time. We've been getting submittals for that project, so they're going to be starting that one up this year as well. Same contractor, it's Lexico that's done phase 1 and 2. They got the bid for that one as well. So that one is progressing along well. I kind of touched already on some of the bridges. So we have 5 bridges under design at this point. They've all been progressing. You're still early on the design survey and doing the hydrology and hydraulics analysis for the bridges over the creeks there. So those are progressing along. Like I mentioned earlier, I expect to see most, if not all, those designs completed the end of this calendar year or early next. Our Truman Connected Phase 1 project was put out to bid, and our contractor is under contract with us now. MoDOT has given us bid concurrence and approved everything there. So we're just waiting on the weather to get right for that one to start up. That'll probably be a March start on that project as well. Truman Connected Phase 2 is still under design. We are looking at our alternatives for that project. So we've kind of had the our design consultant kind of in a holding pattern right now while they looked at the traffic analysis to make sure that the current concept plan was going to work. And we're also looking at other ways that maybe we can meet that multimodal need along that corridor. So more to come on that one. Not much of an update since we last spoke about that one, Wes. 23rd Street Complete Streets, we have 3 phases of that. Phase 1 being from Lee Summit Road to 291. Those final plans are done. They are going to be going through the constructability review with our construction team here soon. We need to put out a public meeting for that project and then just get everything submitted through MoDOT so we can get our concurrence for them on that one. Again, the grant dollars that we have tied to that project obligated so we can put that one out to bid and hopefully start construction in the late summer on that piece. That's just a sidewalk infill project from Lee Summit Road to 291 on 23rd. Phases 2 and 3 are from 291 all the way to Jackson Drive. Those are still under design. I do anticipate the design for phase 2, which is from 291 to Spec Road where the middle schools are, to be complete end of this year. Phase 3 will be next year. That's going to take a little longer because we just started design on that one. All 3 of those phases have grant money tied to them through MoDOT, so we'll have to go through the same process of getting the grant dollars obligated and whatnot. But I'm hoping phase 1 is constructed this year, phase 2 is constructed next year, and then phase 3 to follow after that. That one's actually going to be pretty complex because of the grade drop off as you go east over here on 23rd Street. There's this big grade drop off. We're going to need to do retaining walls or something of that nature. So it's going to be a little complicated for that one. our preventative pavement maintenance operations. I know we've talked on that too. So the GeoBond contract is out. We have Superior Bowen for that contract. They'll be starting up here probably about March, right, Robbie? On that project, we're going to get our street sales tax overlay project out here very soon to bids as well. So that will be completed in the fall after the GeoBond overlay project is completed in the spring, summertime. And we have our seals project currently posted on our public purchase site to receive bids on that one, with our crack seal spring to follow, and then the crack fill in the fall to follow after that too. So a lot going on the pavement maintenance side of things as well. And then some of our other multimodal projects, our Noland Road multimodal corridor project, that's progressing well. We are still at least a year or so out on design being completed on that one, but the consultant's moving along on that one. We got a 30% submittal that we've reviewed and given comments back on, so now they're progressing to the 60% right-of-way design. Our Winter Road Complete Streets project is a little bit ahead of that one. That one's at 60% right-of-way design right now and moving towards 100% design. And then our Historic Trails Phase 1 project, which is a multimodal path coming down on Liberty Street out of the square, those plans are progressing towards 100% design as well. Fairmount Loop project is also, we just got the 100% draft design plans on that one. I actually just earlier today sent an email to the consultant on the spec book that we need to use to get MoDOT concurrence, because again, that one also has a grant tied to it. So I anticipate us putting that one out for bids here in the spring and starting construction late summer, fall on that project. And then a couple that are down the pipeline, but we'll be talking about as the future meetings go on. The 23rd Street Safety and Mobility Improvement Project. That is the other side of 23rd Street from the city limits at Blue Ridge all the way to Lee Summit Road. I don't know if we're going to get that far with it because we didn't get all of the grant money we asked for on that one, but we did get a really nice chunk on a change on that. So that one is in the very, very early stages. We are still negotiating with the consultant that we selected via the RFP process on that project. And then the Inglewood roundabout over there on Winter and Northern, right before Inglewood. That one we recently heard from FHWA that we should have our grant agreement with them completed here, hopefully within the next month or two. That's what's been holding us up, because we were going to do that project as a design build. So we need to have the grant agreement executed and the dollars allocated before we can actually move forward with bringing a contractor and designer team in at once. So it's a little bit different approach we're taking on that, but I think it's going to work out well for a complex project like the Inglewood roundabout. So more to come on those, but that's where we're at.
Okay.
And I would also like to say we've been working hand in hand with our communications team for the city, and they have done some magnificent updates on the city's website. If you go to the city's website and go to the municipal services section, they've done a fantastic job of laying out the GoBond projects. We will have maps up there. We will have basically exactly where every project is and in its current state, especially for the GoBond projects, because we know the citizens are very interested in seeing and make sure we do great things with the funds they've entrusted us.
Right. Okay. Does that conclude any other comments from the city? I'll give you the first shot.
Yeah, just wanted to ask the committee if you are okay with us moving the next meeting to the new building, to the new Independence Municipal Commons location. We're set up now, so it can be recorded. That was the issue before. The tech wasn't ready. It's ready now, so our next meeting can be held there if that's okay with you all.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
We'll make that happen.
What about, let me just ask, what about time? Do we need to, Marcy? Do we need to move like 4:15 or?
No, well,
Because I know you're working. Of course, that you being a.
I just know I had a, yeah, it'll be fine. I had an unusual meeting come up at the end of the day today, and then
Okay.
had to drive around. But I'm coming
Okay.
from Raytown, so I'll probably just kill time at a bookstore over that way or something like
Okay.
that.
All right. One other thing, Chuck, and I guess Janae, we still have a vacancy on the committee. Are we working on that? Where are we at?
That is correct. We currently still have a vacancy. I have heard rumors that we might have an additional candidate here very soon.
Okay. And where are you going, Chuck?
Oh, I'm here.
No, but I mean, did you get a promotion, or are you
Yes. Yeah.
good?
I'm moving into more of a management administration function
Good for
for
you.
the department overall.
Good for you.
Thank you
Really
very much.
appreciate the good work you've done.
Thank you. I'll still be
Into
here.
our
I'll still be
committee.
at these meetings, so you haven't gotten rid of me yet.
Okay, all right.
He'd been doing such a good job tracking all the CIP that be careful how good of a job you do. So he gets to track all the not just the streets, but all of the capital improvement projects that we have across municipal services, which obviously is both the water, the wastewater utility, and what's traditionally called the public works, so the streets and some of the other facilities projects. So he's very busy, but he's still going to participate in these meetings. He's just not going to be your point of contact.
Yeah. Okay.
Can-
And Janae, we look forward to working with you. So,
She's
yeah, she'll do great. Okay. All right. If there's nothing else that needs to come before the committee, meeting's adjourned.